Good evening, everyone, and welcome into this week's edition of the Bull Ring. I'm your host, Derek Diesner, and for the next 30 minutes, we'll break down the week that was in Matador Athletics and get you all set for this year's edition of the Fisher Automotive El Toro Bowl, which features your AWC Matadors and the New Mexico Military Institute Broncos. Right now, it's time for us to take our first break here on the Bull Ring, but when we come back, it's time to break down the matchup against the Nittany Broncos and your AWC Matadors for this year's Fisher Automotive El Toro Bowl. Tom Minnick, our head football coach, is up next right here on the Bull Ring. How fitting it is that we come to you here from the Fitness Center on the campus of AWC to talk to you about Matador football. At the end of last season, this is where the Matadors were to prepare for this season, and their season will come to a close this Saturday in the Fisher Automotive El Toro Bowl. We now welcome in head football coach Tom Minnick. Coach, this season has really flown by, and here we go. This is what your team's been waiting all season for, the big game.
Yeah, it is. We always make that goal at the beginning of the year to get to a bowl game, and we're here, final week, and we're excited to play.
You guys have had a lot of time off in between your regular season finale and now this game. How has it been with this team, and how have you kept them fresh in order to play in this game?
Well, we're healthy. I mean, we've practiced 4 days so far. We'll have a total of 10 practices altogether, which is plenty. Gave the kids some time off, go home for Thanksgiving and stuff like that, to be with their parents and family. So we're excited to get back to work today and finish the week off strong.
Now, you guys had some struggles down the stretch in your final games in the regular season and then in the WSFL playoffs. How do you kind of put that behind you and start fresh and say, this is what it all comes down to?
Well, we've been telling the kids, this is the first time, since the 70s we can win back-to-back bowl games. So that's in the back of our minds that we can accomplish that goal and to be champions. We could be El Toro Bowl champions. So it doesn't matter what the NJCA says or anything like that. We're going to be the El Toro Bowl champions, hopefully, after Saturday. And that's our goal, and our goal is to finish the season strong.
Now, your opponent in this year's Fisher Automotive El Toro Bowl is the New Mexico Military Institute Broncos, a team you're familiar with. You already saw them once this year here in Yuma. What did you learn about them then, and how will that help play into this weekend's game?
They're a good football team. Coach Forstner does a great job with them. They got explosive offense and a great defense. So we kind of got lucky the first game. We played really well, probably our best game of the season against them. And now we got to play again. And it'll be a challenge for us and our team to finish the year out strong.
It sounds like they may have been missing some players the last time they were here. Will that play in at all to this game?
It might. I mean, we were missing some too. So, I mean, it just depends. You come out and play hard and play the way we know we can play, and we'll be fine.
Now, we've talked about this in the past, the health of your team. It sounds like everyone is good to go, but how is Tyler Rogers? We didn't see him those last few games in the playoffs. How is he doing?
He's doing well. You just missed him. He was in here lifting and doing everything else. So he'll be fine, ready to go. We're excited about that. When you're at full strength, it just helps out a ton. And at the last two games, we weren't at full strength, and that kind of hurt us. And the next man's up, but it's not Tyler. So we're hoping Tyler comes through and does a great job for us on Saturday.
How has it been at practice with him being back in the huddle and leading that offense?
Everything's back to normal. I mean, we're not yelling as much probably. But Tyler's doing a good job, and like I said, we're getting back into it this Monday, and we'll go from there.
Now, on the defensive side of the ball, Antonio Kennard, he got a lot of accolades a few weeks ago with all the postseason honors. How has it been having him on the defensive side of the ball, and has he been the leader that everyone's been looking up to?
Yeah, he has been. He's been doing a great job, and all those sophomores, it's their last game. Some of the guys won't be around anymore. after this year, so it could be their last college game. So, and in some cases that's true with some kids, and other kids are trying to get that scholarship and show out on this game. It's a high-profile game, a bowl game, and everybody wants to see this game, see how you do against a good competition. So, everybody's going to be coming out and playing hard, and that includes Antonio, and can't wait till Saturday.
How do you go about treating this as a normal game day with all this hype leading into the game and the festivities Thursday and Friday?
For us, it's kind of normal anyway because we stay in the dorms and everything's the same for us. For them, it's a little bit different because they're staying in a hotel and have places to go and stuff. We do too, but it's normal for us because we're staying in the dorms.
Will game day be any different with the pregame festivities, or will you guys be able to do your normal routine?
We finally get to play during the day here at home for once, and then that's a big thing. And I think it's supposed to be chilly out on Saturday too, so it'll be kind of cold, just like it was up in snow. So the weather will have a little effect, I'm sure, but I think it's going to be a nice day. It'll be a great atmosphere for the kids, and to have all that stuff happening during the game and stuff. It feels like a college game, for the bowl games.
Now, are you worried at all about the weather, or not really, knowing that your team's practicing in it all this week, and like you said, they kind of played in it when we were up in snow?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. They got to play. They got to play in it too, and they're probably got a little bit more colder weather than we do there in Roswell, but it'll be, both teams have to play in it, so it won't have effect.
What will some keys to the game be against New Mexico Military?
Holding on the ball, making sure their high-powered offense doesn't score a lot, like we did last time. Make sure the turnovers and stuff, go our way, as far as getting the fumbles, getting the picks, and us not turning the ball over, and just playing smart football, penalty-free, trying to, and just being smart, and we'll be all right.
Now, we touched on the injuries a little bit earlier, but one injury I wanted to talk to you about was Tyler Blackburn. In the last game that you guys played, you were without your kicker. He had an injury. You were forced to go for 2. Will that be the same case, or is he good to go now?
No, he's good to go. Everybody's good to go. We'll be. Okay. He's out there kicking, and his legs healed up pretty good. So, we're at full strength, and I'm sure they'll be at full strength too, and we'll be ready to go.
Perfect. All right. Well, Coach, thanks so much for your time. Good luck in this weekend's Fisher Automotive El Toro Bowl, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Okay, thank you.
All right. That was head football coach Tom Minnick here on the Bull Ring. A reminder, the Fisher Automotive El Toro Bowl is this Saturday at 1 p.m. at Veterans Memorial Stadium. You can see the game right here on AWC TV, as well as listen to the game live on 560 KBLU. And if you're in the Yuma area, tickets are still available, just $13 each. You can purchase your tickets by visiting the AWC Athletics Department, by visiting eltorobowl.com, or the Caballeros de Yuma office in downtown Yuma. It's time for us now to take a break here on the Bull Ring, but when we come back, it's time to talk Matador basketball with head basketball coach Charles Harral right here on the Bull Ring. Welcome back into the Bull Ring, everyone. It's time to talk Matador basketball, and with that, we welcome in head coach of the Matador men's basketball team, Charles Harral. Charles, thanks for joining me.
Not a problem, Derek.
Busy week for you guys last week. 3 games, starting with a crucial road game at Central Arizona. That's a long travel for your team.
Yeah, Central Arizona had won our region last year and beaten us 3 times, and we kind of had to go in there and play well to win, and I thought we did that. So,
and a good all-around effort from your team. You got a lot of your players in, and just another crucial road victory in conference play.
Yeah, it was an important road win for us. Anytime you can go on the road in our conference and beat one of the Division I teams, Central, Eastern, Cochise, or Mesa, it's a really big win.
Now, your team undefeated in ACC play. The only other team that's undefeated is Mesa. That's got to feel pretty good knowing that you're 5 games into conference play and you're still undefeated and only one other team is.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a positive. We just try to talk about getting better as a team. We really haven't. I haven't even put up the standings for the guys to look at. I know they get on the website though and see, because some of them have mentioned it to me. But we have 2 really tough road games coming up this week with Coach East, and then Phoenix the following week. So.
And this past weekend, you guys took a break from conference play as you were hosting the Wells Fargo Classic. Day 1, you'd face St. Catherine's College, their JV squad. Now, that's a team you're kind of familiar with because you saw them before the season in a scrimmage.
Yeah, we knew what they were going to do. They didn't have some of the same players they had in the scrimmage. They had some younger kids that are on their JV team that are the same age as our players. Their talent level was not as good as ours. We knew that going into the game. We were just hoping that our guys would not take the night off, and I felt like it was hard to play it sometimes because we were so far ahead, but I thought we kind of stayed the course and played as a team the best we could.
Now this weekend, your team was without your big man, Ivan Uribe, dealing with some knee issues. E.J. Twyman was under the weather a little bit. And then you also were without Marquin Mitchell for one game, but he also made his season debut in this Wells Fargo Classic.
Yeah, Marquin played on Friday night against St. Catherine's. His foot was still bothering him, so I decided, and he told me after the game he wanted to try to play Friday night and see how it felt, and he just didn't feel like it felt well, so I told him not to play Saturday. Ivan, with his knees, I wanted to give him the whole week off last week and see if he can be ready to help us in these last 2 road games. And then with EJ, he just had a stomach virus, so he should be ready to go at practice today.
So what about Marquin? Do you think we'll see him in either of these final conference games this year?
I don't know. I think I got to talk with our training staff to kind of see where he's at today.
Okay. All right, well, let's talk about day 2 of the Wells Fargo Classic. You take on a SETI's squad and a different team than we saw on day 1 in the Wells Fargo Classic, where they only had 6 players. They had a full team, and it looked like they might provide some sort of a test against you on Saturday.
Yeah, they had more players on Saturday. SETI's is always an interesting team to play against because we played them in the past, and sometimes they have older guys, sometimes they have younger guys. I thought they gave it their best effort. We're just a little bit more deeper, have a little bit more talent than they do, and we were fortunate to get a good team win. I thought it was really good in both games that I got to play everybody. Navante Hill got some minutes that he doesn't normally get. Akaje Diata got some minutes he doesn't normally get. And the only way those kids are going to get better is if they get to play in real games.
Right. Now, last week, you cap off the week by going a perfect 3-0. You get 2 big victories on Friday and Saturday. You pretty much blew out both teams, St. Catherine's and SETI's. What kind of momentum does that give your team heading into this road game this week at Coach East?
I think anytime you are on the kind of win streak we're on, you build confidence. Right. Now, we didn't play the opponents this weekend, obviously, that we will have Wednesday at Coach East. But I think we need to have confidence going into that game. It's a really tough environment. It's always been a tough place for Arizona Western to play over the years. I would say it's kind of, in the last 4 or 5 years, been the rivalry in this conference. So hopefully we'll be ready to play when we go over there.
Overall, how do you think you match up with Coach East?
I think our matchups are pretty good. They're small and quick. We have a little bit more size than they do overall, I think. But they are playing a little differently than they've played in the past. They run a lot of different zone defenses, a 1-1-3. They've run a box and 1. They've done a lot of different things. They press, so we're going to kind of have to be prepared over the next 2 days for just about anything.
Okay. All right. Well, Coach, good luck this week at Cochise, and we'll catch up with you next week and talk about that game and preview your game at Phoenix.
All right, Derek. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. That was head coach Charles Harral of the Matador men's basketball team. It's time for us to take a break here on the Bull Ring, but when we come back, we'll check in with Matador women's head coach Patrick Cunningham right here on the Bull Ring. Welcome back into the Bull Ring, everyone. Derek Diesner back with you, and it's time now to talk Matador women's basketball. And with that, we welcome in head coach Patrick Cunningham. Coach, how are you today?
Doing pretty good, Derek. Thanks.
Last week, your team had 3 games, and let's start with the first game last week on the road against Central Arizona, and that's a team that you'll be battling with all season.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, they're preseason number 2 in the nation. They finished second runner-up, the year before. They're perennial power. And the list goes on. And so we knew we had our hands full going into Central, and we came out and during that game and I think we walked out of that game thinking, yes, we can compete with these guys. They beat us up that particular night, but we didn't play all that well. And I think we were very capable of playing better. And so we don't play them for a while. So in between now and then, we've got a lot of work to do.
Now, knowing that you lost the game, but you leave that gym feeling that, hey, we can definitely beat this team, that has to be a good feeling and something that this team can build off of for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. There's been years where, you know that they're the better team. And then there's years where you're like, hey, you know what, it's us and them. And that's how it should be, But, mentally, we've got a long way to go before it is us and them. Athletically and basketball-wise, it should be us and them.
Right.
But at this point in time, our guys are just very inconsistent with their mental aspect, and until they get that figured out, then we're capable of losing to just about anybody.
Following the game at Central Arizona, you guys took a few days off for Thanksgiving, then you returned home to host the Wells Fargo Classic, and in your first game, a victory over Anoka Ramsey.
Yeah, Anoka Ramsey, again, a Division III team that's a perennial powerhouse. They're probably going to win the national championship this year. I mean, they're very, very good. They're just not as athletic. It's a great team to play because they're very well coached. They do a lot of good things. Gave Cochise all they could handle the next day. So they're a very solid team, and I thought we played well. We rebounded after the Central game. We shot the ball really well. We moved the ball really well. It seemed like we had some good things going, and we felt good about how we responded after the Central loss. And then Friday came, and then Saturday, we turned around and kind of took a step backwards.
Well, staying with the game on Friday, to get a victory over the third-ranked team in the nation, yeah, they're Division III, but still, that has to be a nice momentum booster coming off of that loss at Central Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Again, our kids responded pretty well, to a team that's, that runs their stuff, makes you work hard. It was the first time all year in 9 games that we'd been scored on the first possession, because we don't ever take the tip, and we challenge our kids to get out and defend and get a turnover or cause a missed shot. And they moved the ball around the entire possession, knocked down a 3, and I thought, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
And but to our kids' credit, they did a nice job of sticking to the game plan and moving the ball pretty well. And then again, we shot the ball well, and that comes from moving the ball. We had a lot of assists. It was our lowest turnover total for the year. So I thought we just played a very solid game, and we started to think, hey, things are starting to look up for us.
Now, following that Anoka Ramsey victory, you then took on Carl Albert State on Saturday. But talk about that time in between the 2 games. There's not much time for these players to kind of rest up or prepare for this next game. And how tough is it to play back-to-back games against 2 teams that you're really not familiar with and are out of conference?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, but then that's how it's going to be at the tournament. If we get to the national tournament, which is our goal. The other thing we were dealing with is just injuries. I mean, we played Anoka Ramsey without Stephanie Schmid. She had her knee swelled up a little bit, and she wasn't feeling real comfortable. So we said, hey, you know what, we need to sit you. And then during the Anoka game, we lost Jazzy Oliver, to a shoulder injury. We don't know if we have her back just yet or not. So she had a little shoulder sprain. So the next day it was Stephanie in, Jazzy out, and it's dealing with those types of things. Samantha's got a left thumb injury right now that's it's really bothering her, and so she's very uncomfortable, you know, right at this point in time, you know, we're just kind of banged up, and I'm just hoping to kind of piece it together.
Now on Saturday against Carl Albert State, a real close game throughout, but you end up falling by 1 point. What went wrong for your team in that game?
Yeah, I think we got up early. You know, they were playing zone, and we started knocking some shots down. So, you know, I think we got a little too comfortable, and then they dialed up their man-to-man defense, started pressuring us, and we were just soft. I mean, you know, we were soft up top mentally, and physically they outplayed us. So, you know, they gave themselves opportunities to win the game, you know, and we allowed them to do that. We didn't shoot the ball well. Samantha didn't score, and that always hurts us. So we had a couple of chances there at the end. You know, I really thought we were just going to pull it out in an ugly game, but you know, we couldn't convert any baskets there late. So, you know, I told them in the locker room, you guys got what you deserved tonight. You didn't come out. You weren't ready to play. You know, you saw the scores from the previous games. You saw how, you know, Coach East had beaten them, and you thought that was going to be an easy time for you. And, you know, that's that mental aspect that I'm talking about, where the kids have just got to toughen up and realize that everybody's out to get you.
Well, after having 3 games last week, only 1 game this week, and you'll face Coach East, but you have to travel to Douglas. Now, I guess the upside for you is you got to scout Coach East this past weekend in their 2 games. So what have you seen out of Coach East, and how do you think your team matches up with them?
Well, I mean, you know, Coach East, she's done a very good job there. You know, Laura Hughes there, and you know, they're just steady. You know, they just they move the ball well. They're well coached. You know, they're gonna pretty much, you know, handle our pressure a little bit, and we just got to make sure we get back and do a lot of good things. Personnel's a little bit different, but they may be a little bit more athletic. They got a kid that can shoot it. You know, we think we're a little better inside if we'll play inside. You know, that's the question. Are our inside guys going to play? But they're solid. They've got 2 conference losses though, so you know it's our opportunity now to hand them that 3rd loss and I mean, you know, beat them at their place, and that's the biggest opportunity for us right now, is to try to stretch the lead against them in the conference race.
And injury-wise, you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but how is Samantha Wallace doing? How is Jasmine Oliver doing? And how is this team going to be this week?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Samantha, you know, those thumb injuries are tough to heal, you know, so we're hoping to get her through these next couple of games, and you know, then the holiday will come into play, and that might help quite a bit. But it's the left side. It's not her shooting hand, and but it is tough to catch, you know, and do some things. So, you know, she rebounded well, but she didn't score well. She was shying away from that. We need to get her confidence back there. You know, and Jazzy Oliver, you know, she's out there playing hard. She's doing a good job for us, and you know, it's a shoulder sprain, so she may or may not be available for this game against Coach East, but I think she'll play against Phoenix, and then again she'll have the holiday to heal.
And how is Stephanie's knees doing after playing on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean she knocked down shots in the first half, and then the man-to-man defense took it out of her a little bit. You know, she wanted to get her shots up, but she looked okay out there. It's just a little tendonitis, you know. And again, you know, college athletes go through these things, and you know, some of the kids have to realize that that's, you know, it's part of being a college level athlete, is playing through a little bit of discomfort.
All right. Well, Coach, thanks for your time today. Good luck this week at Coach East, and we'll catch you after your game on the broadcast.
There you go. We'll be on El Toro Bowl this weekend.
Oh, yeah, I got that too. So don't forget, fans, this week's basketball game at Coach East will be on the air on 560 KPLU. Our pregame coverage starts at 5:20 p.m., followed by the opening tip at 5:30 p.m., and Patrick will join me on the men's broadcast following the women's game, as well as on the broadcast of this year's Fisher Automotive El Toro Bowl on Saturday. It's time for us to take a break. We'll be back with more of the Bull Ring right after this on AWC TV. Well, that'll wrap up this week's edition of the Bull Ring. A quick reminder to all the fans out there to get your tickets for this year's Fisher Automotive El Toro Bowl. It takes place this Saturday at 1 p.m. at Veterans Memorial Stadium and pits your AWC Matadors against the Nittany Broncos. Join us next week for the final edition of the Bull Ring for 2013, as we'll recap this year's Fisher Automotive El Toro Bowl with head football coach Tom Minnick, and we'll sit down with head basketball coaches Patrick Cunningham and Charles Harral to see how their weeks went. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's edition of the Bull Ring, and we'll see you right back here next week, right here on AWC TV. Good night, everyone.